In the middle of the 14th century, people went to bed healthy and woke up dying. Fever struck without warning, pain followed, and dark swellings appeared beneath the arms and along the neck. In some cities, half the population died in less than a year. Entire families vanished in days. Church bells rang so often that cities stopped counting the dead. Graveyards overflowed, streets fell silent. Across Europe, a single question echoed through empty homes and crowded churches alike. Was this the end of the world? What no one understood was that they were witnessing the deadliest pandemic in recorded human history. Between 75 and 200 million people would die across Europe, Asia, and North Africa. This was the Black Death. To understand the devastation, we must understand what came before it. The early 14th century was not an age of decline, but the height of the High Middle Ages, a world confident in its stability and progress. Europe was growing rapidly. Thanks to favorable climate conditions, harvests had been strong for generations, and the population nearly doubled between the years 1000 and 1300. Cities burst beyond their ancient walls. In places like Paris and Florence, tens of thousands of people lived packed into a single square mile, sharing air, water, and space. Towering Gothic cathedrals rose as symbols of faith and human achievement. These were some of the largest structures built since Rome, reflecting a society confident in God and itself. The world was deeply connected. Trade routes stretched from China to Europe, protected by the Mongol Empire. A merchant in Venice could buy silk that had crossed over 4,000 miles of land. This interconnected world moved goods and ideas faster than ever before. But it also allowed disease to travel just as quickly. The infrastructure for catastrophe was already in place. The disaster began far from Europe, on the windswept steppes of Central Asia, where an ancient bacterium, Yersinia pestis, had existed quietly for thousands of years. For centuries, the bacterium lived in balance among rodents like marmots and ground squirrels, rarely infecting humans and remaining isolated from major population centers. In the 1330s, climate stress disrupted this balance. Droughts and floods reduced food sources, forcing infected rodents toward human settlements and bringing their fleas with them. The first human victims fell ill along the Silk Road. They developed fevers, vomiting, and swollen lymph nodes. Many died within 3 to 5 days, leaving traders terrified and confused. By the early 1340s, reports reached the Mediterranean of entire regions collapsing. Some chroniclers claimed 9 out of 10 people in certain towns had already died. Europe listened with detachment. These disasters felt distant and foreign. No one realized the same roads carrying spices and gold were also carrying death. The turning point came at Kaffa, a wealthy Genoese city on the Crimean Peninsula, the critical gateway between Asian land routes and European sea trade. In 1346, Kaffa was besieged by the Mongol Golden Horde. The siege dragged on for months until plague struck the attackers first, killing soldiers by the thousands. Facing defeat, the Mongol leader made a desperate decision. Plague-ridden corpses were hurled over the city walls, one of the earliest recorded acts of biological warfare. Inside Kaffa, panic erupted. Fleas abandoned dead bodies and found living hosts. The fortress fell not to weapons, but to infection. Genoese merchants fled by sea. 12 ships escaped, carrying refugees, cargo, and the plague itself into the heart of the Mediterranean world. The first European port to fall was Messina. When the ships arrived, most sailors were already dead. Chroniclers wrote that only a few survived long enough to crawl ashore. Authorities expelled the ships, but it was too late. Rats and fleas had already reached land. Europe's trial had begun. Ports attempted quarantine, but enforcement was weak. By early 1348, Genoa was devastated, and Venice, home to over 100,000 people, faced collapse. Doctors blamed corrupted air. They burned incense, avoided bathing, and bled patients already dying. Without germ theory, every treatment failed. Fear tore society apart. Giovanni Boccaccio wrote of fathers abandoning sons and wives, fleeing husbands. Mass graves filled faster than they could be dug. Many believed the plague was divine punishment. Processions filled streets, unknowingly spreading the pneumonic form of the disease even faster. When prayer failed, extremism rose. Flagellant groups marched across Europe, whipping themselves in public displays of penance to stop the deaths. Others turned to hatred. Jewish communities were falsely accused of poisoning wells. Despite papal condemnation, hundreds of pogroms erupted across Europe. By 1351, the first wave burned out. Entire villages vanished forever. Across Eurasia and North Africa, tens of millions were dead. In Europe alone, as much as 50% of the population was gone. Labor shortages were so severe that wages doubled in some regions. Art became obsessed with death. The danse macabre spread across Europe, reminding rich and poor alike that death was the ultimate equalizer.
The Black Death shattered medieval certainty and exposed how fragile human systems truly are. In less than 5 years, half of Europe was gone. It was a test of civilization, and tests have a way of repeating.